I think part of my job description as a fertility doctor should be that I blow people's minds for a living. I'm Dr. Lucky Seacon, a double board certified OBGYN and REI, and I want to share 3 astounding facts that I tell patients every single day. Okay, fertility fact number 1. Every cycle, you are losing hundreds of eggs, maybe even up to 1,000 eggs that are immature, that were never destined to mature and ovulate. And this is why when you're going through an egg retrieval cycle, whether it's for egg freezing or for IVF, we don't worry that this is going to deplete your egg reserve and put you into menopause sooner than you would naturally go into menopause. The fact is that there's this process that we call recruitment that a lot of people don't know is happening in the background in their ovaries all the time, where there are waves of eggs that become visible at the surface of the ovaries as follicles that are basically like bubbles of fluid that each contain 1 egg, and those are the eggs that we have to work with in a given cycle. Normally, your brain would send a signal to the ovaries and select one of those to be the dominant egg that would be ovulated, and the rest of them would die off and go away. So a lot of people ask, well, what if I'm on birth control? I'm not sending the signal out, I'm not ovulating, so am I stockpiling my eggs for the future? Unfortunately, no. This wave of recruitment and waste of eggs is always happening. While it's frustrating, I'm glad this system exists because it gives us the tools and ability to have you take the shots of medication, which are the same signal your brain would normally send to the ovaries. So the shots that you're taking during the egg retrieval cycle are essentially trying to override that signal and select everything that was recruited and potentially available to mature and extract and get as many eggs as possible. And this is why when you go through this process, we say, don't worry, this is not going to impact your long-term fertility. Use it or lose it, as they say. Fertility fact number 2 is that it doesn't matter how long your eggs or embryos are frozen and stored. They don't get freezer burn like the old chicken breast from last summer that you stashed in the back of your freezer. Eggs and embryos are frozen via a process called vitrification using very, very cold liquid nitrogen. And as long as that temperature is maintained and kept stable, all metabolism and aging has halted, and the eggs and embryos are suspended in a glass-like state. They're vitrified. So it doesn't matter if they've been frozen for a month, it doesn't matter if they've been frozen for 10 years. They still retain the same reproductive capacity. And yes, there have been cases of people using donated embryos that were frozen over 20 years ago and they've had live births. Okay, the third and last fact I want to share today is my personal favorite. When it comes to fertility, the ability to get pregnant and stay pregnant, your uterus doesn't age. Yes, she's timeless. Once a uterus, always a uterus. The inner lining of the uterine cavity will always retain the ability to respond to hormones. So even if your ovaries are no longer working, you could have your ovaries surgically removed or have gone into menopause, I can still get you pregnant if you have frozen eggs or embryos or if you're using donor egg, because we can give you the necessary hormones to support the lining and build it up and to support that early pregnancy. And eventually between 7 to 10 weeks of being pregnant, the placenta will take over production of those hormones. So yes, I can tell you that the projected success rate of your embryo and its ability to implant and result in a live birth will hold firm even later in life if you decide to come back, whether you decide to come back in a year or in 5 years. I recently had a 39-year-old patient that had gone through IVF and came back at age 45 and easily got pregnant with her first transfer using the embryo she created in her late 30s. Now, if that doesn't blow your mind, I don't know what will.